Welcome to DAExMachiNation. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Evening, folks, and thank you all for joining us in another edition of DAExMachiNation. For those of you who are watching for the show to start, you might have noticed a little change in the title. That's because our colleague was going to be our guest. She had to cancel last minute, had some things come up, and I made a last minute substitution. Gave Wyatt a call, said, "Hey, buddy, you busy tonight?" And he's like, "No, why? Like, you want to come fill in on the show?" And he's like, I suppose. So I had to drag him on here. I almost had to drive to Arkansas to twist his arm, but he's here. Wyatt, how you doing, brother?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Oh, not too bad. Robbie, how the hell you doing, brother?
Doing good.
Is it still hot as balls up where you're at?
Yes. It was about 94, 95 today.
It was around 90 here today, but the humidity made it feel like well over 100. It was some very moist weather. For want of a better term, it was like walking into a freaking sauna leaving the house.
About middle of the day, about 1 o'clock, somebody's truck caught, or his transmission grenaded, and his truck caught fire. I mean, literally caught fire. It almost burnt to the ground. So we had to stand out in direct traffic for about an hour and a half. So yeah.
I've done that. I remember one time I was directing traffic in August heat, full body armor, sweat pouring down my face, and you can literally see the tow truck separating the two vehicles, and we're trying to direct traffic around the site, and this guy rolls up, stopping traffic, which we're trying to get out of there, rolls his window down and goes, "What happened?" I looked over at the cars and looked back at him, went, "Shark attack."
They're all right.
I need you to move on, please.
No, there's 100 people died in India. We're not in India. You just said, "Is everybody all right?" I said, "I'm sure there's 100 people that's died in India somewhere." I'm sure a bus fell over in that river, and some sharks ate some people today. So,
like, is everybody okay? No, it's 102 degrees. I'm a fat guy in 40 pounds of body armor, and you're slowing me down. Move.
So yeah, that was a fun way to spend the last part of my shift, standing out there. Like you said, moist is a very, very, very descriptive term for how I felt when I got back in my patrol car.
Yeah, another good term for it is swamp ass.
Yeah, that too.
Oh.
It was
fat guys in humidity, especially fat guys in body armor and humidity, does not mix.
Yep. Thankfully, that was my last day until next Friday, depending on how many days or how many hours I get during the week or during the day at the week I'm at the academy next week, I may be able to take Friday off. So
pretty close to 100 people in the chat. That is awesome. Thank you guys for all joining in. Boy, the chat is just freaking flying. We will reschedule Coley for a later date. We'll have to get back with her, but just kind of give you guys a heads up on who's coming on the show. On Saturday the 5th, we're going to have author Luca Jacobs is going to be joining us. She's a cryptid writer. She got some pretty good books out. Robbie's a big fan of her work. I honestly I don't think I've only read but one, so I'm going to kind of take a crash course before she joins us. She should be with us this coming Wednesday. This coming Saturday, the 5th.
Yes, the 5th.
Yeah, and a week from tonight, the 9th, assuming you know, good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise. But on the 9th, we are going to have the OG of cryptids himself, Vic Cundiff, will be joining us.
Heck yeah.
We're talking some Dogman with Vic Cundiff.
That'd be a good show.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good one. But, we've also got another good podcaster right down there. If you guys have not checked out Boone County Cryptids, definitely get over there and sign up. They ain't got one video out yet, but I think we're fixing to give him a whole passel of new material because something weird is going on in the Ozarks.
It is. I just want to say thank you, everybody.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah. Thanks, everybody, for subscribing. I really appreciate it. We've got an intro video out, and I made some shorts, the short little videos, but that's all we've got out right now. But I'm trying to keep y'all entertained for a little bit.
Pete says, any upcoming live readings of your books? Probably pretty soon. We're going to be getting back to that. We've got some plans for that, but we'll be making an announcement on that here, hopefully in the next few weeks. We do want to get back to that. We enjoyed the Redneck Reading Association, but not to make you guys wait too terribly long to tell you about the weird stuff going on here in Missouri. But if you guys remember me talking about, we did a whole show based on an encounter story from down near Branson, from the Drury-Mincy wildlife area. And that is, it's between me and Wyatt. I mean, Wyatt's actually closer than I am. It's probably an hour from me, down near the Arkansas border. And if you guys remember, we did most of a show on it. There was a group of Missouri conservation agents that supposedly exchanged gunfire with a group of what they described as bipedal mountain lions. And these felinoid type creatures are not like Dogman. They're not like Bigfoot. These were highly aggressive. They chase a carload of teenagers out of the area, but they actually came after a group of armed conservation agents, and they opened fire. And now, because that just happened just a few months ago, but if that's not enough, this popped up. And you guys have heard our theories about closed campgrounds. Joe Bald was a great example. Combs Ferry is a great example. Big Bay. And what does Missouri Department of Conservation announce? They are closing the campground at the Drury-Mincy Conservation Area without warning. Went into effect yesterday.
Just in time to keep people out of there for the holidays.
Just in time to keep people out of there for the holidays. 4th of July is one of their biggest camping weekends on those lakes. And they're shutting down an entire campground literally days before one of the biggest holidays in the area. Something strange in the neighborhood. But who you gonna call? You ain't gonna call the Ghostbusters. You're gonna be calling the Nightmare Hunters, because we are going in. We're going to be setting up an expedition. Wyatt's already said he's in, which means we'll probably be dragging Richard along for the ride. But we're going to try to get Doc and Robbie here for this. We are going to take a group in there, not one or two, and we're going to attempt to not only shoot lots and lots of pictures, but we're going to shoot video. And if we can live stream from there, that'll be even better. But that's coming up very soon. And I just wanted to bring that to y'all's attention, because we called attention to this a few months ago when we first aired that show about that encounter down there where the Missouri Department of Conservation supposedly exchanged fire with a group of felinoids, of cat. I don't want to say cat man because it's stupid and it's very derivative of dog man. So I'm just going to use the term felinoids, feline humanoids. And they said that there were multiple of them. They came out of the treetops. They weren't coming on the ground. They were in the treetops. And when they dropped to the ground to engage, there were multiple of these things. And Missouri Department of Conservation had to fight their way out of the area. So when we go in, we're going in with a group, and we're going in with a healthy, prodigious amount of pew-pews.
As always.
Yeah. And I'm still, that is just tantamount to an admission to me, to just out of the blue shut down that park.
We talked about it a month ago.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and guess what? Guess what that whole area is part of? Could it be the Mark Twain National Forest?
I'm about to say a certain rider that the woods are named after.
Yeah, that whole area is part of the Mark Twain National Forest. We're going to run into something down there. I don't know what, but I got a feeling we're going to come out of there with either some tremendously great pictures and video or a lot of great stories to tell.
Some creepsters.
Mrs. Moon says best to get to know some of those conservation folks. Well, there's a conservation office just a few miles from the area, so I'm probably going to stop in, pay them a visit, see if I can talk to some folks.
Did you see what just Ryan wrote?
No, I didn't.
Thundercats, ho!
That's funny. Somebody said, "Oh, Steve Patton says he's in." Well, dude, we would definitely take it. K Bauer says, "Tell me you got cryptids in your park without telling me you got cryptids in your park." Robert D says, "Just how much more weird shit's in my state now?" Yeah, Missouri and Arkansas, man, we're loaded with it. Way more than people realize. Larry Berlin says, Where is this located? Where in Missouri is this located? Southeast of Branson, but it's in the deep woods. In fact, how about we just do this? I am going to bring this up and we will talk about it a touch. This is straight off Google Maps. So let's talk about it a little bit. The area is called the Drury-Mincy Drury-Mincy Conservation Area. And there's the Drury-Mincy campground that they closed. If you notice, there is not much out here. This is the White River, which is part of Lake Taneycomo. And there's no houses out here. People just don't live out here. This is all dense woods, hills, ridges, and valleys. This is about as thick as the Ozark woods get. I challenge you to find thicker woods in the Ozarks because this is thick. It looks like a couple of houses up here near Mincy, but the campground and the conservation area, there's nothing.
No, that's nothing but pure trees through there.
Yep.
Damn right. That's some thick woods.
It'll be good to have the thermal there.
Yeah, it would. And guess what? As the crow flies, this is only about 5 miles from Combs Ferry.
Ooh. I just got chills again.
Combs Ferry is right by the dam on Table Rock. And that dam is what separates Table Rock Lake from Taneycomo.
Isn't that the dam that you and Doc drove around?
Yeah, it is.
In fact, when we launched to go into Combs Ferry that night with Wyatt and Richard, we put in right next to the dam at Moonshine Beach.
Yep.
Oh, did you see the article in the news, Wyatt? Moonshine Beach is underwater.
Oh yeah, the flooding down here is
at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, Richard is camping this weekend, and their campground was underwater for quite a while. I think they can finally get into it now. But
well, considering how wet it's been and how much water is near this, we definitely got to make sure we're wearing lots of skeeter and tick repellent.
Oh yeah, they'll carry you off if you don't.
Yeah, just find a drained out husk.
Skeeter dactyls.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I want to do is, again, I know this is all state land, so if we can get in there, I want to see if I can find this state access road right here because it leads back to some of these clearings.
Be a good place to set up, not camp, but
Base camp.
Base camp, yeah.
Because these look like old power line right of ways. You can see, they're cut through the trees. So those are either power line right of ways or they're fire roads.
Yeah. Power line right away is a good.
I tell you, a great place. If nothing else, if we had to go in by boat, a great place to set up base camp would be right here.
Oh yeah.
But I guarantee you, right now, this is probably all underwater.
Hey, I'd almost bet money on it, do you?
Because I guarantee that lake's up at least 10 to 12 feet. Maybe even more.
I'd say where we put in on Combs Ferry, it's probably up on the bank quite a ways farther than where we put in.
Well, that time we put in last time, it was way up.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Taneycomo was higher than it was last July when we put in.
When the three of us and Doc went back over there, we were talking about how much further up it was then than when we were out there. That's in July.
If we could get a pontoon boat in there, Wyatt, if we can arrange to get a pontoon to take us all in, because a big pontoon will hold all of us.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we could get a big pontoon boat and then go back in through Wolf Hollow and up to where Mincy Creek dumps into the river, dude, nobody would ever see us set up a camp out there.
Oh, no.
You would literally have to know we were back there to see it, unless they're looking at it from the air.
Right. There's always that possibility saying they just shut down the campground.
Yeah, but if we could put in here and establish a base camp, we could probably map all of this area out, probably even most of this, with the drones that Robbie and I have.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Because we both got a pretty decent little drone. Robbie's is better than mine, but mine's pretty damn good.
Heck yeah.
So we could start by doing that, by surveying the area with the drones, and then we could start, like leave a couple people at base camp to maintain camp and radios. And we've got a couple generators we could take with us. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
dude, this could be a really interesting expedition. And that campground is, where's it at?
House said if he goes with us, we got mandatory. He has mandatory fly pirates flag.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's the campground. The campground is literally straight across from where I would want to set up that base camp. Now, that's probably 3 or 4 miles, but for a creature that has a range of several hundred miles, that's nothing.
Very true.
That is some rugged terrain, though. So, from the look of that, probably if we're wanting to do an extended expedition, we're probably going to have to go in if we can get a pontoon boat.
Yeah.
That, to me, that would be the best way, because we can take a good sized pontoon boat. If there's 6 or 8 of us in the group, they can carry all of us and all of our gear, and we can always send the pontoon back for other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, how thick that is, because that's a big area too.
Yeah. I mean,
There's not even much close on the other side of the lake.
there literally is no telling what could be in the thick of those woods right there.
Well, we're talking, the heart of the Ozark Mountains here. Then we may find some crooks and crannies and some of those ravines out there that probably ain't seen a person in 50 years, if that long.
Maybe we can find a pile of gold out there, and then we can pay for a pontoon.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely, House. Bring the deck cannon. I'm down with that. Gotta have some.
If we bring Jenkins and he brings that 500 Magnum, he's got the deck cannon covered.
I'm pretty sure Greg's talking about an actual deck cannon, knowing him.
He's probably got a.
He's a lot like Doc when it comes to that. I mean,
He's probably got a mini gun.
I've had extensive conversations with Big Red, and he's got a lot of play pretties.
Yeah, well,
So,
House, you were definitely invited to the shindig if you want to go. We are going to be planning this soon. The daytime outing, I'm probably going to hit without Robbie and Doc, but we won't probably go in without them when we go in at night, because the daytime I just want to do a recon.
If we plan this right, I could probably drive down to Greg, and then we could turn around and drive the rest of the way, because I go through Alabama a lot of times to come, or past a little offshoot of it. So we
could spend a night or two at the man cave before you came up this way.
Hey, if you guys need a place to stay while you're up here, I've got an extra bedroom or two. So
that would be awesome. I'd put them up, but we don't have any extra room, unfortunately.
I mean, it'd be an hour drive up there, but if we're going to that place, it would only be 30 minutes. So
yeah, you're actually closer to it than I am.
Yeah.
Dude, I am stoked. I was stoked about getting into Combs Ferry, but this one this one's really got me excited because the Combs Ferry stuff, I've been hearing stories for years, and we planned that outing for a while before we actually got to go in there. Yeah, I was super excited about Combs Ferry, and it did not disappoint. But dude, I think this is going to be active as hell.
Yeah, we may get in over our head if we ain't careful.
Well, that's why we ain't going unarmed, and then why we ain't going in a small group.
That's right.
They might get us, but we're going to be the spicy burrito because we are not going down without a fight.
Yeah, we'll definitely hurt coming out. That's for sure.
Hell yeah, Greg. Road trip.
Steve Payton says he calls dibs on the couch. Yeah, I definitely don't want to go in there without a minimum of 6, probably even more. 6 to 10, probably. And we'll have to make sure everybody's got a radio, everybody's got a med kit, and we've got multiple medics. I mean, Steve, Doc, and anybody else we can. Well, Robbie's been to one of the life-saving classes, but there are other people we can bring that are actually more than just first responder level first aid certified. We want some people that can lay down, can handle the bad ones if things get really bad.
Yeah, I could definitely put a tourniquet on. I could probably seal the junction and seal the box and pack the junction and all that kind of stuff. But gets much past that, you need Doc and Steve.
It would be a good outing for your little 300 block out there, Robbie.
Mm-hmm. Now that we know the problem.
Yeah, now that we know what the issue was. Steve Patton says he's got green tips as well. I'm actually going to go see my guy about picking up some more Pew Pew Freedom seeds tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some non-subsonic for that also, just so I don't have to worry about that quite as much.
John Wayne Gates says, or was it? I lost it. Oh, it jumped all the way up. Says my grandson asked how many pew pews. Hell, I couldn't answer. Never counted. The answer to that is never enough.
Exactly.
If somebody asks you how much ammo or pew pews you have, the answer is always not enough. But, yeah.
About the tactical SGs we were talking about the other night. We're like, one? Why just one? Is there only one day of the week? No. Nay, say I.
I like to have my choices.
Yeah.
But, yeah, as close as that is, and considering the amount of activity that Wyatt and Richard have picked up on Table Rock Lake, that Robbie and I have ran into on Table Rock Lake. Wyatt was with us for some of the stuff where, Wyatt and Richard were out there when we did the Combs Ferry. But we've had from one end of Table Rock Lake to the other, we've had lots of activity. And going over here in this area, yeah, there's we've got to take this very carefully. We're going to have to plan this one to the T. And one of the things I wanted to discuss with you boys is I think there's a few things. Hey, thank you for the super chat. Marcus Antonius super chatted $9.99. That is awesome, dude. Thank you. You boys got a pad and a piece of paper handy? And any y'all in the chat who are interested in this, I'm going to give the name of a couple of apps, free apps, that I think you should put on your phone prior to your next outing. And any of you who are in the chat, if you guys are planning on going out and doing any outings like this, you should probably have one of these apps, or not all of them. DA thinking if some people get trouble from downing a cryptid near their home, how's it going to go and actively searching for them? Well, we're not. Our intention is not to shoot one. Our intention is to get one on film. We're not going out there to try to kill one. That is going to be the only way that's going to happen is if we've got to kill one to get out. We will shoot to deter. We will shoot to warn. But I don't want to kill one. That is not my plan. But if they come after us the way they did those conservation agents, we may not have a choice. or at least, until they realize the error of their ways when they see how many of us there are and what we've got. You boys ready?
Yep.
Yep.
The two right off the bat, I think you should both get is one is called On X Hunt.
I have that already.
Okay. How about Base Map? Do you have Base Map?
No.
Get Base Map. It's free. How about iTrack?
Nope.
I like an iPhone, iTrack. ITRACK. That one, you can scan a print and give it your location, and it has a database of what animals are supposed to be in your area, and it will identify tracks based on that. So it'll eliminate a lot of confusion. Like, I don't know what this is. Well, if it can identify it, then you can rule it out.
That's pretty cool.
Another one is called iNaturalist. This one allows you to identify plants. And another one, now this one isn't necessarily cryptid related, but it is beneficial. There's 4 of these, and there's 4 of the same category. You can download them all at the same time. They're called Ghost Tube, like YouTube, but with ghost instead of you. Some of them have like low light filters, and there's some of them that's a good recordings for like recording audio. So they're pretty useful even for cryptids. They're designed for ghost hunters, but they're very useful. I mean, you can go outside and switch and bring up the camera on Ghost Tube and switch the colors and actually see better at night than you could with a normal camera. It's not as good as like thermal vision or low light vision, but in a pinch, if that's all you got, it's better than nothing. And these are free apps that you can get.
Is that all?
That's all the ones I've got currently.
Okay.
And if any of y'all in the chat know of any better ones, definitely let us know.
Add Cal, CAL, Topo, TOPO.
Cal, write that down. I'll find a dang pen, and I will download that at some point tonight. Cal
Topo.
CALTOPO.
Yep.
All right, I will get that one as well.
That one will work with the satellites and area, and it'll bring up imagery, and it'll give you a topo map of the area you're in. So, and I'm a big, people who've listened to the show for a while will know I'm a big proponent of using topo maps, because a lot of times a flat map will help you and get you out of a situation. But if you're stuck somewhere deep, a topo map is like gold, because it tells you elevations, it tells you where water sources are. Topo maps is the gold standard when it comes to maps, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah, topo maps are the best. Kay Bauer says, DA, I'm saying even self-defense, the stories I've heard of people shooting one in self-defense, getting in big trouble, and entering closed territory in search of something that doesn't exist and having to. Yeah, but I think I've got a workaround on that. That's the Mark Twain. You can camp in the Mark Twain. It's a national forest, and I've camped in the Mark Twain many times. And one thing that we will take with us just to make sure we're covered is everybody's going to have a fishing license and everybody's going to have fishing gear. And if anybody comes down there wondering what we're doing, we're just setting up a camp fishing.
I've already got the fishing license covered.
We'll get Robbie one. We'll get him an out-of-state pass for fishing in Missouri. We'll get him covered.
I think mine covers Arkansas and like the borderland lakes of Missouri. So.
And if they say anything, I'm like, how can I get in trouble for shooting something you don't even think exists?
All right.
But our whole goal for this is not to bring one in, not to shoot one and bring it in for science or for credit or anything like that. I want to get them on camera. And if Doc's with us, we've got his thermal. I'm going to replace the one I've got as soon as I've got the money. The one I had, it died. Why you've got a thermal?
Yeah, and you can connect it to your phone, and somebody can be looking through the lens, and somebody can be looking through the phone.
I think Wyatt's got the same one that Doc's got.
Yeah, Doc's is like that too, and Robbie's got that. Robbie's got that Psionics. So we've got the things covered. And we may have to make this group a little bigger than originally planned, because not only do I want to have everybody armed and medics in the group. I need dedicated camera operators, people that are just shooting video and taking pictures of everything. Because one thing I have a bad tendency of doing is me and Robbie will tell you, we get out there and get to experience and stuff, and we completely forget about our damn cameras.
Yep, 100%. And people, will you take a picture? Because I didn't think about it.
Yeah, too busy experiencing it to worry about capturing it for posterity. But the whole point of this will be we're going to have people that are constantly, security conscious. We're going to have medics, and we're going to have dedicated cameramen. I'll be taking my DSLR. Of course, we'll have our phone cameras. You guys will have your thermal cameras. But we're going to get something. We're going to come back with some very interesting footage.
A lot of these up and coming young filmmakers are using that are making these that fan film about Friday the 13th, Never Camp Alone. I know you and I've just talked about it, just us talking about it. A lot of that was filmed on an iPhone. They got those little gimbals. Mm-hmm. If somebody in the group's got a newer iPhone,
Noah's got a new one. It's the newest model,
but not one like that. It's the one that you hold it sideways.
Oh yeah, I don't have anything like that, but I've got 3 or 4 of these gimbals.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is if we're going to have somebody that's a dedicated cameraman, find somebody that's got an iPhone and get one of just check in to see how much.
No one's got the iPhone. We got to find that gimbal mount.
Yeah, and that way, I mean, iPhone comes with all the editing software and all this stuff. We could actually almost make our own documentary about it.
Yeah, Noah's got the brand new iPhone, so Noah could do it. Don says, DA, if I was close enough, I'd help at base camp or run a camera for you. Dude, we'll appreciate that. But, I think we're going to see if we can round up some local folks. Steve Payton wants to be involved. I know Jenkins and Estrella that went with us to Combs Ferry both want to go. One of my other lieutenants who's retired, Dave Mann, is a photographer, and he wants to go. So guaranteed he's going to be 100% a cameraman. And he's a very good photographer. Might even be able to talk my brother into going, but he's really not into stuff like this.
What if we could talk Joe into going? When we met it last time.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because he
loves this stuff. So
yeah,
if he's unfortunately, Joe works 2 jobs, 2 full-time jobs. But if Joe's got the time off, I'm sure he'd love to go.
Well, he's kind of the boss of one of them, so
he makes his own hours.
Yeah,
that's my old chief out at Walnut Grove, Joe Mahan. So between current and retired cops and current and retired military, and Wyatt's been hunting since he was knee high to a grasshopper. We're gonna have plenty of folks that know what they're doing, and we'll have medics and cameramen, and I think this is a doable expedition. We just got to find our starting point, and that's why I want to put together a smaller daytime outing and just take 6 or 7 of us, maybe 2 vehicles, go down there, scout the area, look at the campground, maybe even stop in and talk to conservation, because the conservation has an office down there just a few miles from the campground. Might stop in and talk to them, say, hey, we're shooting a wildlife documentary, blah blah blah.
So can we still get to the campground when you just can't camp there? Is that what it is?
It's closed, but it didn't say anything about it being closed off.
Gotcha.
Roxanne, you just don't worry. I can handle myself. They don't always have to wrangle me in. Just about 99% of the time.
And let me bring this video up. Yeah, Noah will be there, so we'll have a Robbie Wrangler. Okay, this is the map of the campground. This is the actual Drury Mincy campground. To me, it doesn't look like there are any gates. I mean, I'm not getting in, zoomed in close enough where I see anything, but it looks like they might have shut the campground down. But unless they installed gates, we should still be able to get in there. See some of the campsites. These are the concrete slabs, same campsites as we had there with Combs Ferry and Joe Ball.
Yeah, if they leave it shut down for very long, it'll look just like Combs Ferry.
Yeah. You can see a lot of these campsites in there. It's not a big campground. But from the looks of this, there's probably 15 to 20 campsites. I don't see any buildings that look like camp offices or anything like that. I don't even see like, well, this might be it. It's kind of grainy. That might be like bathrooms and stuff. But you can definitely tell this is, where the campground is. And if you look, it's got some sort of road leading over toward what looks like a fire break or maybe maybe that's power pole right away. I think it is. I think it's a power pole right away, judging by those shadows.
Yeah, the Highline right of ways are good places for activity too, because that's where Richard's son's seen one.
And that's where the campground is, and I think that's the perfect. If they've got it closed, that means you can't camp there. But unless it's gated off, we should be able to get in there during the day and use that as a staging area. Maybe throw a drone in the air, walk around the area, go out and check for tracks. I think this is where we need to go on the first outing. I think we need to take a group of 5 or 6 guys, maybe 7, a small group, cameraman, medic, everybody else armed. We pull in there, make sure our long guns are where we can get them, but not necessarily conspicuous. That way, if conservation pulls in there, says, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" We're like, "Hey, we're just flying a drone and messing around, just having a good day." Brought a picnic lunch or something. Take some sandwiches.
I can always eat.
Yeah, you can always convince me to eat a good bologna sandwich. But yeah, just look at how thick the freaking woods are out here. And there is nothing out there near that campground. Looks like there might be one house, looks like a farm up here because that looks like a corral, barn, house. So there's a couple of farmhouses not far from that campground, but really that looks like about it. I mean, we got the little town of Mincy Saddle Club. Yeah, there's a little bit up there. A few buildings, maybe a business. But as far as the campground, there's nothing out there. Nothing close enough to hear you scream. Down here is the conservation department. So that'd be a good place to check in, talk to them. Yeah, dude, we've got to do this.
Yep.
Those woods are dense.
Oh yeah, they are thick. And just looking at that area, I mean, that is so freaking remote. And if we go in by boat, we are going to be miles from the nearest road, the nearest house. Yeah, you don't get much farther in the backwoods in the Ozarks than that.
No.
And no offense, Wyatt, but we'll be close enough to Arkansas to hear the banjo music.
DA, you mean we'd be more than 200 yards in the woods?
Yeah.
Oh my God. But still not the farthest I've ever been in.
My goodness.
When I was a younger man, when I could still hike for hours and hours at a time, which I'm trying to get back to. I'm trying to lose weight, and now that the heart surgery is over and I'm starting to get my strength back, I'm trying to push myself farther and farther. But there was a time when we would hike 2 and 3 days before we established a base camp.
I just we never go further than 200 yards in the woods anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
yeah. Clearly, we didn't go into an isolated area by boat.
Right.
It was more than 200 yards of water separating us.
Oh yeah.
Boys, I am more excited about this than I was about Combs Ferry, and I was stoked about going into Combs Ferry.
I'm down like 4 flat tires.
Oh, I'm excited too, but you're right though. Combs Ferry was cool, and it was it was dangerous, But this is a whole different level. We need to really make sure we got everything taken care of before we.
We're literally just a few miles from the Arkansas border.
Sorry, my dogs are
happy about that.
They're all right. Robbie's dogs bark all the time. They're fine. They're just making their voices heard.
Yeah, Cap's already went. He went through his a little bit earlier. And that's usually what he sounds like.
I love dogs.
One of these days after we get this one done, DA, I want to take you, if we can get everybody together again one of these days, I'd like to take you where we go to deer camp out because
oh yeah, I'd love to.
It's thick out there too. Not quite as thick as that, but it's thick.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be so freaking good. Sorry. I think my allergies are acting up. My eyes are itching like crazy. So, if you guys live in the area, I know Steve's already said, and Jenkins and Estrella have both mentioned that they want to go, and so is Lieutenant Mann. So I will reach out to those guys, and what I'm going to do is make a group email or a group chat where we can all text at the same time, and we're going to start coordinating a date because I want to go in there soon. I want to do the daytime recon. I want to do that soon, and then we can start planning a much bigger expedition when we can have Doc and Robbie in. Wyatt, you're muted. I can't hear you.
Yeah, I forgot I was muted. I said, heck yeah.
I saw you say something. I was like, hey, his mic's muted.
Yep.
I would not want to take any of our dogs down there, though. No, I think that would be a place where we would lose one.
My dog will be running off trying to run after whatever it is. He's a husky, so he loves to run. So.
Eric Testerman says he'll go if we need him. Eric's right here in the area, and Eric's got a pew or two.
Come on, Eric.
And he's a combat Marine. So, yeah, hell yeah.
Even better.
Harold Goodell says, good question. Why go in when it's that overgrown and not wait until the fall? I want to do our recon while it's still thick. Because obviously there's something going on down there right now and why they shut down that campground. So I want to go in during the day, do a quick recon, but I don't want to go in deeper until, I don't want to go in deeper until where it's a little more manageable, because I don't think Doc and Robbie are going to be able to get here till the end of summer anyway. So if we go in the fall, we're going to have less ticks, less mosquitoes, and probably less competition from other campers. We'll just put it that way. Not because the tourist season will be coming to an end. But not that tourists go out there anyway. Tourists are in the Branson area and up on Table Rock. So we're going to see far less human traffic down in this spot than we ever have on Table Rock. I mean, that really ain't too terribly far from where Bull Shoals begins, isn't it?
No, Bull Shoals is not very far. It's matter of fact, I'm about 30 minutes from Bull Shoals as well.
Bull Shoals would be another good one to go hunting around.
Yeah, it would. If I remember right, I think I've got a guy that said he's had some stuff happen there.
Roxanne says, DA, could the creatures be a type of gugway? That's a great question. All I can say is the only eyewitness descriptions we've got describe them as being bipedal mountain lions. To me, that would be kind of hard to mistake the mountain lion versus a mandrill. Yeah, they would both have the snout, but there were clear eyewitness descriptions from two different groups of people that said these were bipedal cats. Well, it looked like mountain lions on their hind legs. LS420 Stoner says, if the campground is shut down, won't the Fed boys shut y'all down? Only if we try to camp in the campground. That is the Mark Twain National Forest, so we can use it. We can go in there. W. Leonard gave us a super chat. Hey, buddy, but thank you. We appreciate the super chat. And yeah, we're definitely I am so excited about going in there. I cannot wait. Might even take my Kel-Tex.
And go more than 200 yards in the woods.
That's right.
For those of you who know, you know.
For the record, yes, I own 4 Kel-Tex. I own 4 different Kel-Tex, and they're fun to shoot. But when I go into situations like that, I take something a little more reliable and a little higher caliber because my Kel-Tex are just fun. They're not what I would consider a duty weapon or something I would carry into an emergency or into. Well, if I had to grab one in an emergency, I know they work. But I've got higher caliber, much better, higher quality gear that I will take into a situation like this. I might take the pair of World War II champs, my M1 Garand and my 1911.
DA, do you want me to bring the tactical shotgun or the 7 mag? It's got a good scope on it.
Yes.
Yeah, you might bring. Yeah, it's always good to have choices.
Yeah.
Because I'll probably bring that tactical shotgun of mine too, and I want to order some more magazines for it between now and then.
Right.
Just a guy says, didn't you say it took MDC wardens multiple shots to take one down? Wouldn't that imply Genosqua? Actually, they never took one down. They said they engaged and had to retreat. So there was nothing said about them taking any of them down. But they did say they were incredibly fast. Camo Dad says, I have 1 Kel-Tec and 40 Smith & Wesson. We were saying that because of somebody's comment in the on one of the videos about us being Kel-Tec warriors and something like that. So I deleted the comment. It was stupid. But yes, I do own some Kel-Tecs. You know what? Kel-Tec surprisingly makes some really good weapons. People can either laugh at them or joke about them all they want, but I've carried them in the field. Kel-Tec makes a decent weapon.
Here's the thing. Matt Carricker, the biggest gun tuber ever, who knows probably more about guns or has forgotten more about guns than we know, torture tested high points, and he wanted to hate those high points.
Oh yeah, he went into it wanting to hate them.
So just because you want to laugh at a gun because you think it's funny, or
because you don't like it, we've said many times before, the best gun you can carry is the one you're good at, the one you've practiced with, and I practice with all of mine.
I mean, high points are ugly, but they're a brick, and you can't. They're pretty much indestructible.
Yep.
Kevin Bode says, I like my sub 2K. Dude, I got a sub 2K 3rd gen. Dude, I love that thing. That thing is so fun.
Look at the original AK-47s. Those were not the prettiest guns in the world.
They were designed to be reliable, not pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Crawl through the mud and the muck and the jungle with them things, and they still.
That dude on Demolition Ranch, he took that high point and he shot it, and it still fired.
He froze it in a 5-pound block of ice and let it melt down
in a pond for several days, then dragged it out, and it fired. Even after he shot it in the breech, he had to knock it into battery, but once it went into battery, it still fired.
So, all that to say, if somebody is comfortable with a gun, if somebody likes to shoot a high point, fine. That's what they want to shoot. Let them shoot. When I helped my dad with his CWP class, people would always ask me, what gun should I get? What gun should I get? It's not what I think you should get. You need to go somewhere where they allow you to shoot the guns that they like, around here, that would be Palmetto State Armory or, City Arsenal, somewhere like, and I'm sure there's ranges like that who, if they've got an indoor range and they sell guns, 9 times out of 10, they'll let you shoot what the gun you're thinking about buying. That's the gun you need to have, is the gun you're comfortable with. Exactly. Not what I think. I'm a Glock guy. I love Glock, but somebody else might not be a Glock guy. There are guys.
I like my Glocks.
There are guys on our department who I can outshoot them with my Glock, but you put something like a 6 Hour in their hands, they're a lot better than me because that's the gun they're comfortable with. I ain't gonna say that a lot better than me, but I'm just saying, if you're comfortable with a gun, that's the gun you need to have. And
Roxanne, you are right. It was Plum Island. And I couldn't agree with Robbie more. If you're going to carry something in the field and rely on it, you need to be proficient with it. And I'm not a brand snob. I own lots of different manufacturers, from Rock Island to Glock to High Point. I don't actually own a High Point at the moment. I had one, but I got rid of it. But I've got Kel-Tecs. I've got an M1 Garand. I've got shotguns. I've got plenty. And I'm not a brand snob. I get ones that I like, and I shoot the ones I have.
yeah, I mean, you get what you feel comfortable with. If you feel comfortable shooting a High Point, you feel comfortable shooting a Kel-Tec, you feel comfortable shooting a Glock, that's what you shoot.
Exactly.
Because 90% of shooting a weapon is up here. If you're not comfortable with a gun and you're out of your head with it, you're not. I don't care how expensive and how much bells and whistles are on that gun. If you're not comfortable with that weapon in your hand, then it don't matter.
Yeah,
it's not going to do you any good anyway. At least with a High Point, if you run out of bullets, it's a bludgeon weapon too. So
you can beat them with it.
Impact weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did an episode on Plum Island at one point.
We did.
Yeah, you guys did. I remember.
But we'll get off our soapbox about pew pews.
Leslie wants to know if this could be a Wampas cat.
Maybe.
Well,
depends on your description of Wampas cat.
Most of the descriptions of the Wampas cat say it's a cat with 6 legs. The Cherokee legend, it's long and drawn out, but just to kind of, lay the quick, dirty foundation for it. The cat was killing people. They said that they should leave it alone, let it move on. One brave decided he was going to go after it. The elders talked him, or he talked the elders into letting or giving him his blessing. So they gave him the stuff he needed. And he takes off. He was gone for a while. His wife was, watch for him every day at the end of the village. Well, finally he comes back, and he's pretty much been driven mad, because the story goes is if you look at this thing, it'll drive you mad. So he couldn't hunt anymore. So he was dead, according to Cherokee legend. He was dead to the village, even though he was still alive. So his wife decided she was gonna stand up, or she was gonna get revenge for him. Steve, I'm right-handed. So she talks the elders into it. She goes after it. And the spirit of the forest cat helped her defeat the Wampas cat, because they gave her some kind of mask that allowed her to be able to commune with the spirit of the forest cat. So when she put the mask on, she was able to summon the spirit of the forest cat. It fought the Wampas cat. She runs back to the village, kind of redeems her husband a little bit. But to this day, they say that the Wampas cat could either be the spirit of her or some medicine men who have gotten tired of how natives have been treated with their land. So that's book 3 is going to have a really in-depth explanation of the Wampas cat, just in case anybody's wondering. So that's the down and dirty version of it. So could it be a Wampas cat? Could be, but I don't know. DA, are there any Cherokee in that area, or what tribes are?
There's Cherokee all over Missouri.
Okay.
But this area was predominantly Osage, but there's tons of Cherokee.
Because that's a Cherokee legend, so that's why I asked. So
Yeah, the Cherokee, one of the Cherokee reses, one of the big ones, is just right down here in Miami, Oklahoma, which is right here in the area, an hour and a half from here, just on the other side of Joplin.
So, yeah,
Had a lot of folks of Cherokee descent in this area.
I think it was my great grandmother was a full blood Cherokee.
Ooh, excuse me. Got a little belchkiating going on. Doing a little sippy sip on a Guinness. Casey's Robbie, how long before that's released?
Well, I got next week. All next week I'll be at the academy, so I won't be able to do any writing next week. I just finished I said DA chapter 18. Sort of finished. I'm starting chapter 19. I'm over 40,000 words into it. So factoring out that I'm not going to get to work on it, I may try to get some work on it this weekend. Maybe 2 more weeks, give or take. DA's getting ready to do some proofreading tonight on what I sent him. So when he gets back to me on that and tells me if I need to change anything in a few certain scenes that may or may not be important down the road. I mean, what do you think, DA? Maybe they're important down the road at some point.
They might come into play somewhere else. So Wyatt.
Yes, sir.
Tell us, because I watched your show when you were on with Brett the other night. And I watched that one. That was good. It was a good one.
Yep, real good.
Thank you.
What was it you called that? Call that one area Monkey something?
We're dubbing them a Creature Cove now.
Creature Cove. Tell us about Creature Cove.
Well, technically, I guess I should say Creature Coves. Hang on, let me mute my phone. We've got 2 different coves that we go to. One is where I found that structure that I sent you the picture of, DA. And then the other one is where we have most of our activity.
Mm-hmm.
But
I want to get in there with you guys too.
Yeah, I'd love to have you guys in there. If I ever get a pontoon, we're going to have lots of fun. But
if I can get a Netflix deal, I'm gonna outfit the group. Trust me.
Heck yeah. The one cove where we have all of our activity most of the time. I guess if you're going down the lake, that cove is on the left, and if you keep on going just a little ways around the right side, that's the cove where we found the structure, and that's also where we had the partial dogman sighting. But the other cove is where we had all the owl sounds and where we had trees broke and stuff pacing us in the woods. And we also have another cove. It's on the Arkansas side. That's where we heard everything bust in the brush that one night, and we couldn't see anything. Yeah, and I'm not bragging or anything, but 90% of the time, probably more than that actually, but when we go in these coves, we have some sort of activity. But like I said, I'm not 100% saying it's Bigfoot or Dogman because you can't usually see anything. But that night I had the partial Dogman sighting. I could tell it had a snout and the eyes were evil. That's all. And there was 4 or 5 sets of eye shine there. So I'm assuming it was a small pack of Dogmen.
Well, that night you were talking about hearing, monkey noises coming from, in the woods.
Yeah.
To me, that would have been a night I would have been like, God dang, we have run into something. Because as far as I know, there aren't groups of wild chimpanzees in the Ozark woods.
No. Now the only other thing that it could have been, and we were hearing owl sounds, and I think there may have been one that was a real owl. But owls do make a caterwauling sound that sounds kind of like a monkey. But the more and more I've listened to that audio, it sounds like it's coming from a primate to me. And plus, those owls, we had them start going off over here, over there, over here, and they started going into some weird, funky noises. It wasn't owl sounds. It was, I don't know how to describe it, but eventually they went off into like monkey noises. We also heard that real long howl after we heard the monkey noises, and we're assuming there's a possibility it was a dog man way off in the distance, since pretty much the dog man area is right on the other side of basically a hill on the other side. So it's there's something out there.
Well, having experienced some of the same stuff you have on Table Rock, just in different places, yeah, there's something. There's a lot of somethings on Table Rock Lake.
Yeah.
Especially in the more remote areas.
And that place where we found the tracks, we found the Bigfoot track after we got back from Combs Ferry. I'm assuming it looked like a Bigfoot track. And then we found after we had the dogman sighting, I was texting you on the way back to the boat ramp. And then when Richard and I were on there, Robbie said he would put that more akin to a dogman track, the skinnier one.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't understand how. I don't know if they're watching us before we leave the boat ramp, or if they like somehow.
Dude, if you're anywhere out there, especially at night, I would put money you're being watched.
Yeah.
You may not know they're there, but they know you're there long before they ever reveal anything about themselves.
Right.
So like at the night when we were down at Joe Bald, when we got down, when I took Robbie down there the first time, when we saw the eye shine, and then the next morning we found that hunting blind on that game trail.
Right.
Yeah, that night I guarantee you that thing knew we were there before we even got out of the car. As soon as we arrived down there, I'm sure it was already keeping an eye on us.
No, I guarantee it. Sometimes it's almost like they know you're coming before you even show up. DA, I've got some pictures, and I haven't showed these to hardly anybody besides me and Richard, basically. But we have a place that we go to down here around Flippin, Arkansas. It's Corps of Engineer land, and we call it Three Fields. And we found a track, a pretty good track out in this back out in the third field. It's in the grass, but you can tell something stepped there, and you can kind of see the toe impressions, and the grass is mashed down and stuff. That's also where I had what I believe was a partial Bigfoot sighting. We went out there to put some deer stands up, and we were walking back out because there wasn't a good place to put the stand there, and something started busting the brush over there. It would have been over here to my right. And I looked over in the woods, and I see something, and it was just like through this very narrow opening. Something just started walking away. I couldn't tell if it was on two legs or not because, like I said, all I had was that little gap to see through. But something just started walking away, and it was moving very fluidly. So I don't know if one was there at that time or not, but we've had a lot of activity at that place too. Richard's heard wood knocks. That's where we smelled one time. Walked by one area, smelled like chicken poop. Walked back through, and it smelled like wet dog. I've got all sorts of places I can take you boys if you ever want to come down here.
I definitely want to go. I cannot wait to get into some of those places. Do you remember the story I read on the air about the Missouri game warden that found a poacher dead in the woods, an old man?
That's one of my favorite stories. Yeah, I mean, I'm very sad to hear about the guy that passed away.
Yeah. That was bad, but that was down south toward the Arkansas state line, south of Koshkonong, Missouri. So I'm talking to a dude the other day when I was at Sam's Club. I was just waiting for something, the lady was doing the samples that always gives out all the food. She said it'd be just a minute. So I was sitting there waiting for a sample, and this dude was standing there. So I start talking to him, and I was wearing one of my Bigfoot shirts. He says, "You want a Bigfoot?" And I said, "Oh yeah." I told him about the podcast and stuff, and I gave him one of my cards, one of the ones that Robbie made for me. And
Badass cards, by the way.
thank you. I did a good job on them. I need to order some more of those. But anyway, we get to talking, and I told him about the podcast. He said he might be popping in, check it out sometime. Seemed more interested in the books than anything. And I said, "You ever anything happen to you like that?" And he goes, "Well, I don't know if it's Bigfoot related, but you might find it interesting." I said, "What's that?" He goes, "There was a place I used to hunt, back about 10 years ago." And he says, "I don't know if you've ever heard of this. It's a little bitty poke and plum town in southern Missouri called Koshkonong." And I immediately went, and he goes, "I used to hunt in the woods a little south of Koshkonong in the Mark Twain." He said, "I put out my deer stand." He said, "Went out, scouted for deer, was planning on going back a couple days later when the season opened." He said, "I got out there and my deer stand was gone." He said, "I'm just thinking some asshole found my deer stand." And he said, "It was still dark." He said, "I got to the tree. I had the reflective markers on it so I could find it in the dark." He said, "My deer stand was gone." He said, "I just immediately figured some of the hunter found it and stole it." He said, "So I turned my headlamp on and started looking around." He says, "And just something told me to look up." He says, "And there's a big ass walnut tree right across from where I'd hung my stand." He said, "I looked at that walnut tree and I looked up." He says, "And lo and behold, what do I see?" He said, "I see what's left of my deer stand. It had been ripped off the tree and twisted like a freaking pretzel and chucked about 30 feet up this tree." He said, "Tell me a person could do that." I said, "As heavy as those stands are, ain't nobody could throw it that high." He said, "This thing looked like somebody grabbed it, wadded it up like a kid's toy, and chucked it up into the tree."
What does that sound like?
He said, "I can't say it's Bigfoot." He said, "I don't know. I didn't see what did it. I didn't see any tracks." He says, "But I know two things. The woods were dead quiet that night, and I got the feeling I needed to hunt somewhere else, and I did."
Yeah, time to unask the AO.
I can't say with any degree of certainty, but I honestly believe that's probably what it was. Probably Bigfoot saying, "Hey, why don't you go hunt somewhere else, jackass?" But yeah, he said, "I never saw anything. I never heard anything." He said, "But I had that uneasy feeling I needed to get out of there." He said, "So I left and didn't go hunting the rest of that day. I went and hunted somewhere else." He said, "But I never did go back for that deer stand because there's no way to get it out of the top of that tree."
Yeah, I think I would have just left it there and probably never went back to that section.
Yeah. He said, "Well, I didn't really live close to there anywhere, but I'd always had good luck hunting there." He said, "Yeah, if you know where Koshkonong is." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know where Koshkonong is." And I immediately thought of that story. Like,
Yeah, like I said, that's always been that's one of the better stories I've ever heard.
and that to me, that just adds corroboration to that story. There's an aggressive one out there that was like,
Well,
"Okay, tree stand, you go hunt somewhere else, kick rocks."
Well, if it's close to southern Missouri, I mean, remember they had that Gugway sighting in down around Eureka Springs. That wouldn't be
Would have been
no
farther away. Let's see. Do you know where Hardy is? Hardy,
Hardy.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
It's closer to that.
Okay, so it's more in the center of the state.
Yeah. Yeah, Koshkonong. I always recognize Koshkonong because I used to go. I have friends that lived in Jonesboro, and I even lived down there for a while. But we would go drive down to see our buddies in Jonesboro, Annette and I, before we had the boys, and we drove right through Koshkonong on those back roads going to Jonesboro. And I know we would go right through Hardy, not too terribly far away.
Yeah, I've done some work in Hardy when I was trimming trees.
Hardy's a creepy little town at night.
I can't really tell you because I was in the hotel room at night, so I don't.
Well, that town freaking rolls up its sidewalks. When it gets dusk, everything's closed.
Yeah, it's
Not even you don't even see people out on the street.
yeah, that's what you call creepy for sure. If nobody's outside after dark, apparently
Yeah,
they know something.
That little town will give you the heebie-jeebies. You go through there during the day. It's a cute little town. Just a nice little. Not even a very big town. Just
No.
Probably a few thousand people, if that. It's clean. It's a nice little town. But come sundown, man, you don't even pass other cars.
Yeah, I think they might have a McDonald's and somewhere else to eat. I don't think they had much there, but it's a neat little town.
But does that remind you of maybe a bicycle getting bent around a tree 12 to 14 feet off the ground?
Yeah, those two bicyclists that were going through the LBL.
Mm-hmm.
They only found the one bike. They never found the other bike, and they never found either of the guys.
But they found one of the bikes bent around a tree about 12 to 14 feet off the ground.
Yep.
Excuse me, I gotta go grab the phone charger. I will slide right out of the frame for a second.
Edie Testerman saying, talking about activity out at his house. Yeah, Noah and I were out at Eric's house one day, and broad daylight we were out there and heard whoops because he lives just off the Niangua River. I mean, the Niangua was just what is it, Eric? About a couple hundred yards from your property.
Well,
He's right there on the.
I will attest to the weirdness of the Niangua many times over because it's never disappointed.
The Niangua River Valley is a creepy place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like to get up there to Moon Valley with you guys one of these days.
I'm planning another trip, dude. I will let you know when we're planning on making the trip because I don't want to go with just one or two people. I want to take a small group.
Right.
I'm planning to be down there probably a good chunk of the night.
I wish we could get somebody to sponsor us to do this kind of stuff, boys.
No kidding. I thought about trying to approach Johnny Morris, the guy that owns Bass Pro. And I even went so far as to kind of reach out to somebody I know that works for him. And they said he's not interested. So he doesn't even want to hear it out.
When they were building Top of the Rock up there close to Branson, I used to work for a guy that was doing most of the construction there. He seems like a pretty nice guy. I actually got to talk to him for just a minute. This is not Bigfoot related, but it's a small little story. I guess old Johnny, he wanted to get on the construction equipment and try it out a little bit. And apparently he dropped a big beam on top of some guy's car. And then he's like, is everybody all right? The guy's like, yeah, but my it's totaled. Johnny Morris gave him the keys to his brand new Toyota Tundra truck and let him have it.
Nice. Well, might reach out again. Maybe I just, either caught him on a bad day or they didn't even ask.
Of course, he is a billionaire, so hey.
That is true. So, he could fully fund us and just write it off on his taxes.
Well, that's what he does. The reason his construction takes so long is I think that's probably why.
Hell, I mean, he owns Bass Tracker. He could just give us a pontoon boat and write it off.
But he could.
Yeah. And not even.
I'd love to actually go to him with a meeting and get him interested and give him a list. Like, okay, this is all the shit we could really use.
Yeah. Well, you start letting some more stuff get out, and they start leaking more stuff to the public. Eventually, it may pique his interest, and he's probably seen stuff and heard stuff.
He spent a lot of time in the woods. I bet he's probably got stories. Leslie train him to his Discovery Channel. That would be a good one if we actually had any contacts there.
It's about right place, right time. I mean, and not bringing them up because they are credible or anything like that. But look at those guys from Mountain Monsters. They were right place, right time with a show that was just enough of an interesting thing where, I mean, almost 9 seasons. So obviously they were doing something right.
They're starting a YouTube channel now. It's called Sons of Appalachia. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the heck out of Mountain Monsters when it was on.
I only watched just a couple episodes because I thought it was so freaking cheesy.
It is cheesy, but
Nightly 45 says, DA, if you go into those woods, you better bring the Robbie Wrangler. Oh, yeah. We may have to dedicate a second Robbie Wrangler. We don't want Robbie to get it.
Doc was kind of acting like a second Robbie Wrangler last time you guys were there.
Yeah. Yeah, once Doc realized what was going on, he was like, it was a paradigm shift for Doc, because he'd had paranormal experiences. That was the first time he had an up close cryptid experience, and Doc was shook.
I can imagine. I would have been too, probably.
Robbie and I were warning him, like, we get in some of these places down here, something's gonna happen. And that's the night we learned that Doc's nickname is Stroker Ace when it comes to driving big SUVs.
Yeah, I don't. Well, that and the dollhouse. I don't like creepy dolls either. So,
well, if we go out to Moon Valley, we are going to go up there.
I'll go if it's with a group. I don't care.
AC Calloway says Mountain Monsters was like Benny Hill from Monster Hunting.
That's a very good analogy.
It is.
You need to get Noah to download some of their video where they're walking in the woods at night and get him to speed it up and dub the Benny Hill theme song over it. Can you imagine how funny that would be? Especially like one of the ones where they fall down and can't get back up because they're rolling around in the mud. That, oh my God, that would be. Hey, that we could make money off that. Just make a viral video and use the funds off the viral video.
It only takes a couple, and then you'll be set.
Yeah. Folks, if you guys are new to the channel, I noticed a couple of names in the chat that I didn't recognize. Puck Elf says this is first time catching live. Hey, well, welcome here. But the algorithm is still saying that only about 40% of the people who watch the show are actually subscribed. So if y'all have not had a chance to subscribe to the channel, please like, share, and subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, but it does help us get there. And we are getting dangerously close to the 10K subs. Last I checked, just a little bit ago, we were just short of 9,700. So I know we're really close. See where it says we're at now. Oh, we're one away from 9,700.
Let me say this. All y'all like making fun of me and the Robbie Wrangler stuff. This one right here beside me is just as bad as I am. He's the main one that likes to talk about the Robbie Wrangler, but he's usually right beside me. So, yeah. Aren't you, DA?
Yeah. But remember, the only one that wants to make sure who comes home is Noah.
Exactly.
You and me are expendable. She don't give a damn we get it as long as Noah gets out okay.
Exactly. I don't care what happens, you two idiots, but you bring my baby out of the woods. Yes, ma'am. So,
Roxanne says, DA, isn't the Bigfoot in the area usually not fierce? I've heard a lot of aggressive stories, and I've had some aggressive encounters. So I really think it all depends on where you're at and the group. I think some of these things are very aggressive. Some may not. I mean, if they're as intelligent as we believe they are, there's going to run the gamut of personalities, just like in people. Some will be good, some will be bad, some will be nasty. So I think it just depends on the ones you run into, or if you're getting in their area where their young are, or if you're encroaching on a food source. I think you're gonna see more aggression if you're into something like that. But that area we're talking about down by the Drury-Mincy Conservation Area, that's got a reputation for being violent, and that's why we want to go in. We want to go in so well armed. Nightly 45 says creation of the DA Wrangler is going to happen one of the next investigation.
Yeah, because Doc wasn't wrangling me; he was wrangling us. because this one beside me was beside me getting flanked.
We're a good 40, 50 yards away from the group, and that one was moving in to try to cut us off. And if Doc had not have seen that on the thermal, we didn't know it was there. We were definitely exfilling the area under cover. Puck Elf just subscribed to the channel. Hey, thank you, and welcome to the DAExMachiNation, man. Thank you for being here.
So that means 9,700.
No, he subscribed to the channel.
Subscribe to the channel. I thought it subscribed as in.
It still says 96.99 on the studio app. So we're one away from 9,700, but it may not have updated yet. Knightley says Doc's going to be the DA wrangler. We'll just have to carry Doc around in a little baby Bjorn. I was going to say something else. Completely losing it. Well, you boys want to talk about some actual encounters? Robbie, do you have any already picked out, or
not right? Yeah, I got the map pulled up, but I haven't picked out yet because we've been talking. So I haven't had a chance to. If you got one, go ahead. But if not, I'll find one.
I'm going to pick one from very near that area. Oh, here we go. This is actually a pretty lengthy one, and this is just within a couple of miles of the Drury-Mincy campground. This happened in winter of 2018 in Taney County. It's right over there where it's at. Says the report was submitted in 2018, but it actually happened in 1998. One of numerous incidents. Okay, this is just a description. It's not really detailing an actual encounter. It's talking about finding dual trackways in 6 inches of snow back in 2018. In 2019, so the dark of the moon, the overnight low temperature was -1 degree Fahrenheit. The wind chill was -7, and there were 6 inches of snow on the ground. Around midnight, we heard a thump outside of our bedroom window. Just beneath the window is a large plastic storage box for barbecue charcoal. The barbecue grill, covered with a winter tarp, is approximately 8 feet from the storage box, with an area between for use by summer grill or kick in it. Despite the sound being a very familiar one, and one which we instantly recognized, it was out of place for the middle of the night, and both my wife and I awoke instantly. I said aloud, "Did you hear that?" And my wife said, "Yes, I did. I felt the bed tremble several times, very slightly, similar to when a heavy truck drives by on the road." I said, "I hear footsteps." At that point, I considered grabbing my handgun to deal with a potential intruder, but the sounds and the vibrations were not repeated. We listened for a few more minutes and then went back to sleep. The next day, Tuesday, January 16th, the temperature never climbed above 12 degrees Fahrenheit with light winds, but a wind chill that remained at or below zero. We stayed inside nearly all day, only venturing out on the east side of the house briefly to check temperatures in our outbuildings. Mid-afternoon, my wife asked me if I'd been outside in the yard. I told her that I had, but I'd not gone out at all except to check the well house earlier. She stood at the bedroom window and pointed to a line of large, widely spaced footprints outside. She said that it appeared that we had been visited by an intruder during the night. We went out to find 2 lines of tracks coming toward the house from the west, then curving south along the house just outside the bedroom window. One of the line of tracks was footprints that were 13 to 14 inches long and 5 inches wide at the heel and 7 inches wide at the toe. Some of those tracks clearly showed individual toe prints. So -7 degrees that night with the wind chill. Ain't nobody out there barefoot. Ain't nobody walking around barefoot in -7 degrees snow. Some of the tracks clearly showed individual toe prints. All were smooth with no pattern or marking and no breaking between the heel and the remainder of the foot, as would be found with a boot or a shoe. One of the line of tracks appeared to be smaller footsteps, presumably a juvenile, with clear toe prints showing in some of the footprints. At times, the juvenile tracks showed dragging toes side by side as if the walker was partially lifted upward so that both feet dragged marks in the snow side by side before resuming walking. At other points, the smaller juvenile prints appeared to indicate that the walker had hopped repeatedly 2 or 3 times on one foot and then jumped or had been lifted, dragging both feet for a distance of some 8 feet, then planting one foot and resuming stride, or hopping onto the other foot. We believe that one of those hops or jumps resulted in the juvenile bumping the storage box, which woke us up inside the bedroom and prompted out our vocal comments. Those comments would have been clearly audible just outside the window. Beside the plastic storage box located beneath our bedroom window, the 2 lines of tracks became a single track. Apparently, the juvenile was lifted by the larger adult. The stride length of the larger prints averaged 5.5 feet. That's a hell of a stride.
Yeah.
As the tracks approached the house, both lines curved, turning south close behind the house. Well, this is the point which the juvenile prints appear to show lifting, dragging both feet, and hopping. At the point where the 2 lines of tracks changed to a single line of large adult footprints, presumably due to the adult having heard our vocal comments inside the bedroom and reacted by lifting/carrying the juvenile. At that point, the stride length of the larger prints grew to 6 feet in length, at some points nearing 7 feet apart. There is no indication of running at any point in the larger print tracks, either before or after the closest approach to our bedroom window and the plastic storage box. There were no toe scuffing or heel scuffing, as are made by a human attempting to run in the snow. There were brush marks behind several of the large adult footprints. Close examination of those marks revealed that they looked like what were made with a whisk broom with a very light touch. Individual traces could be seen clearly, as is presumably the marks were made by dragging hairs that hung from the legs of the creature that made the tracks. The line of large prints made a line heading directly for the roadway, obviously quickly moving away from the house and our voices inside the bedroom. The tracks crossed the road and were later obliterated in the roadway by multiple visits from the snowplow on Tuesday, continuing at an angle across the yard and on the other side. Approximately 100 feet into the other yard, the stride length of the large tracks slightly reduced, and the juvenile tracks reappeared. We presume that the larger creature adult put the smaller juvenile back on the ground. The 2 lines of tracks continued in a straight line for another 300 feet toward the dense tree line. I contacted a BFRO investigator who had been involved in investigating the traces of activities we've had on our property. While he was unable to visit in person, he arranged for another investigator to stop by one morning, on the morning of Wednesday at 8 a.m. to photograph the prints. Sadly, many of the prints in our yard were slightly degraded by wind-blown snow dropping from overhanging trees that eroded the sharper edges of the prints. The tracks of the prints in the neighbor's yard across the road was not degraded due to an absence of overhanging trees to shed the snow. Temperatures later on the day on Wednesday and on Thursday melted enough snow to remove all but a single handful of prints in the deepest snow in the neighbor's yard. Those prints, however, were degraded by tracks from stray dogs, which appeared to find extreme interest in the line of strange tracks. By Friday, virtually all the snow had melted and no evidence of the tracks remained.
That's a pretty detailed.
And that was just a couple miles from where we're wanting to go.
Yeah, that was really detailed.
I mean, yeah, without actually just physically seeing one, that's about as good as a
Got a close to a Class A you can get without seeing it.
Oh, yeah.
I wish they'd included photos of the tracks, but they did not.
I got one ready if you want me to jump on it.
Fire it up.
It's a shorter one than that, but well, actually, I think it's 2 separate ones, but it's all in the same area. And this is since we were talking about Cherokee earlier, this is from Haywood County, North Carolina, which is not far from the this is 2 separate ones. It's report number 69269 and 69433, but it's all in the same area of the Blue Ridge Parkway. was on the Blue Ridge Parkway at an overlook near Masonic Monument. So the first one happened 5/30 of 2021 in spring, and it was a Class B sighting. And they were on the Blue Ridge Parkway at the Masonic marker. My son had just finished watching the sunset on the Blue Ridge Parkway at the Masonic marker. We were still sitting there watching the overview as the fog was rolling in. It was getting very cold, so we got in my car and cranked it up. We started to back up and leave. A very dark, large figure ran across the road into the woods. It looked like a man. I turned towards the figure, but couldn't see anything. It was entirely too large to be a black bear, and definitely wasn't an elk. I haven't seen any at all this weekend. The figure was very black, and the hairs on my arm and the back of my neck stood straight up, and I've never had before in my life. Or I'd never before in my life been so afraid. Then on 7/15 of 2019, possible Sasquatch wood knocks heard near the Masonic Monument along the Blue Ridge Highway or Blue Ridge Parkway. Once again in the spring, which July is not really a spring. So anyway, that's summer. Take 19 west out of Maggie Valley, turn right on top of the mountain towards Blue Ridge Parkway. And this is pretty close to where I did my tracking class, DA.
Nice.
Turn left on the parkway towards Cherokee, past the first pull off, and turn right on the Balsam Mountain Road, also known as the Hinatoga Ridge Road, towards the Masonic Monument. Before the monument, there's a pull off to the right. Is where we were just before that pull off. To the left, to the woods, is where we heard the knock come from. Barb and I travel the road off the Blue Ridge Parkway to the Hinatoga Trail several times a week when it's open. We are all flower and wildlife junkies. Approximately 1 year ago, we were at the pull off just before the Masonic marker, looking at fire pink flowers. When out of the blue, there were 3 knocks from across the road, very loud and distinctive. There was no one else around whatsoever, no wind. We have noticed rocks that have, quote unquote, fallen down the mountain and landed on the roadway, but no sign of where they came from. So that's 2 within a couple of years apart in the exact same location. And you got pretty much almost a physical sighting, and then you got audio, basically, right in that area. And like I said, that's in the Pisgah National Forest, that's where I was at for my training.
There's a lot of stories in the Pisgah National Forest.
Mm-hmm. So
I think that's a really good encounter story too.
Yeah, it is.
Really make you think.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Especially you got somebody that's out there all the time like that and
Mm-hmm.
knows the area, sees it all the time, and then has something like that happen that they can't explain.
Yeah. Those are the ones I think are the toughest to dismiss. You know, somebody that's familiar with the area intimately and still sees something they can't explain.
Yep.
You know, misidentification does happen. You get somebody that's unfamiliar with an area, somebody that doesn't spend a lot of time in the woods. They see a black bear at the right angle. God knows what they might identify it as. But somebody that's well familiar with the wildlife in the area, that one really makes you kind of sit up and notice.
And you know, it's just like we said with what was the guys that you went camping with that heard the elk bugle.
But yeah,
They'd never been, because they weren't familiar with the area. They hear something that is in the area and just freak out. If they hadn't had you there,
like, guys, that's an elk. No, yes.
So I mean, we say it all the time. You know, if you're going to go somewhere and you're going to go out and you're going to do stuff like this, know what's in the area. Like, you know, Doc researched what type of owls are in the area, so when he did the call, it wasn't an owl that was indigenous to the area.
And the odds of it, you know, being that being an owl of a West Coast owl in this area, pretty slim.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they sure did mimic it pretty good.
Hey, we're spot on.
I've got one here if you boys want me to read it.
Hell yeah. Go
This one occurred in Carroll County, Arkansas, between Beaver Lake and Eureka Springs. It says, I've had 2 possible Bigfoot encounters. The first occurred in 1975 when I was 7. The second happened in the summer of 1994. I had been playing and living at an opera festival 7 miles or so west of Eureka Springs in the Ozark Mountains. One night after a run-out performance in Missouri, several of us were driving back to the festival site.
Yeah, I hate to interrupt, but that area of Eureka Springs, isn't that over by Beaver Lake?
Yeah, I believe so. Okay. I think 62 goes through there, and you can actually go to Bentonville, Arkansas.
Because that one encounter that you were mentioning earlier with the Gugway, that was near Beaver Lake. It was in War Eagle State Park.
Yep. Yes, sir. So I had been playing and living at an opera festival 7 miles or so west of here. I'm going to skip down because I already read that part. One night after an run-out performance in Missouri, several of us were driving back to the festival site. We were on Highway 62 between Beaver Lake and Eureka Springs. It was after midnight when our car lights illuminated someone or something standing off to the right, south of the road. It raised its hands and covered its face, I assume due to the car lights. We saw no clothes on it, and it appeared to be covered in brownish hair. What we saw didn't really register at first. We all thought it was very strange that someone would be out there naked at that time of the night. None of us thought it was a bear because we saw hands. Also, I had seen a bear in that part of Arkansas, and this did not resemble a bear. We didn't stop or turn around because we were all at the time a little freaked out. I later realized that this thing had been standing on a small slope. It must have been between 7 and 8 feet tall. It wasn't thick or bulky, but appeared thin in comparison to its height. Ever since the first incident, I have read and seen everything I could get my hands on concerning Bigfoot. That being said, when I did in 1994, my first reaction was, who's stupid enough to be out here at this time of the night? They'll get run over. Then I realized that it was hair covered and tall and probably not a man. And that's
road,
all.
If that's the road I think it is, that one that leads out over that bridge just outside of Eureka Springs, that's some woolly road.
Oh yeah, it is.
The trees are like right up to the edges of the road.
Yeah, that's the one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because there's only like 3 roads out of Eureka Springs.
Yeah. One going northwest and south, I believe.
So where you got Eureka? I found it.
Yeah.
Here's another weird little historical detail about Eureka Springs. Did you know there's not a single stoplight in the entire town? Not one.
Well, if there's only 3 roads going out, there's not really a whole big need for them, is there?
You'd think with the amount of traffic that little town gets, especially considering all the bike rallies that happen down there, you'd think there'd be a stoplight or two, but not even at main intersections.
There's a lot of traffic, but no stoplights.
Wyatt, have you ever eaten at the Rockin' Pig?
No, but I've heard you talking about it, and I want to go.
Dude, you've got to try it. Oh, it's so good.
You stop. You keep saying that, and every time I come down here, all right, we're going, and we never go.
We don't end up making it. Next time, we'll make a day of it. You get down here, we'll grab Wyatt. We'll head down toward the top of the rock. We'll pick Wyatt up near top of the rock, and me, you, and Doc, and Wyatt will go over to Rockin' Pig.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
See if Richard wants to tag along.
I'm sure he'll go.
Dude, they have a smoked Wagyu burger. Oh. There are ranches near Ava, Missouri that raise Wagyu. So it's locally raised Wagyu that they have on their menu.
I've got a cousin that lives over around Bentonville, Prairie Grove, that area. They have a Wagyu farm as well.
That's some good beef.
I don't think I've ever actually had Wagyu.
It's good. It is very good. They make a Wagyu brisket that they shred and put on cheese fries. It's worth the drive down there just for that.
That sounds like a good time to me.
Hell yeah, it is. I'm a fat guy. You know I'm going to know where the good food's at.
Well, I haven't missed many meals myself, so.
And I still got to get you guys over to the pizza cellar too. That place, man, they got some good chow. That place is worth the drive just for the breadsticks, but their pizza is phenomenal.
I'm a pizza. I love pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. And that's all just little mom and pop. Yeah, it is off the beaten path. If you don't know it's there, you're probably not going to ever find it. But yeah, that's some damn fine pizza.
Question.
Shoot.
We're talking about food. That place me, you, and Doc went and ate at before we went to the Bass Pro Shops, that little barbecue place.
Yeah, Buckingham's.
Is that the one that was in what you were or what you just finished? Is that the same one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought so. When I read that, I was like, wait a minute. This sounds familiar. I think we were just here. So yeah, I thought so. That's good. That was good. That's one of the best barbecue places I've ever been in.
It's good. It's
like you said, probably just not. It's just a little. You walk in, it's so unsuspecting, like a little hole in the wall almost. But good gracious, that was some good food.
And their ribs, just melt in your mouth.
It was mighty tasty.
And I judge a barbecue place based on their baked beans. If you can't make good baked beans, your barbecue's probably going to suck. But their baked beans,
yeah, they were good.
If you like baked beans at all, you're going to love them.
I've been meaning to ask you if that was the same place that 3 certain people went to.
That would be the place.
And it's just funny that 2 of those people had just been to that place in real life.
T. Davis says the pizza at the Rockin' Pig is pretty damn good too. You know, I've never ordered pizza at the Rockin' Pig. I always get like the burn ends, or we get that Wagyu burger, because that burger is freaking amazing.
Oh, you know what would be good?
Anything like that.
You know what would be good, DA, is if they took some of that brisket, that Wagyu brisket, and made a pizza out of it.
Oh, dude, now you're talking. Ooh. That sounds good.
I'm getting hungry now.
Boys, you're making me hungry. Timothy Wade says, roll that baked bean footage, DA. If you ever find yourself in Springfield and you want to try some good barbecue, go to Buckingham's. If you like Frito pies, their Frito pie is obviously Fritos and cheese, but it's their baked beans with brisket.
Ooh.
And whole thing covered with cheese.
Sounds like that'd make a kitty cat want to slap a bulldog.
And shockingly, if you get like the takeout container, the styrofoam container, it fills the whole container, all of it. I mean, it is stuffed full. But here's the funny thing about it. It's $8. And you could feed 2 people with that.
Heck yeah.
I can never eat a whole Frito pie when I get it. I love it, but I can't eat the whole thing. I generally eat about a half and give the rest to Noah.
Hey, did you see what Northwoods put?
Uh-uh.
How about some more beans, Mr. Taggart? I believe you boys done had enough.
I love that movie.
Oh, one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, Mongo like candy.
That's how this fool woke me or knocked on my door when we were in Ohio. We getting ready to go to I hear candy down for Mongo. So I opened the door and said, Mongo like candy.
And Annette goes, oh God, they're starting already.
We hadn't even made it down for breakfast yet. That was the exact moment she turned and looked at me and said, I changed my mind. You can't move to Missouri.
You 2 will drive me crazy. No, drive me to drinking is what she said.
You 3.
You 2 will drive me to drinking.
She included Noah in that on that time because
Yeah, because Robbie and Noah didn't even need me to get involved. They were throwing movie quotes back and forth at each other constantly.
Yeah, it was good times. Annette rolled her eyes quite a few times that trip.
Oh yeah.
Oh God, well, y'all shut up.
After 33 years together, if I can't drive her crazy, who can? Oh,
Yeah.
another encounter.
Whose turn is it? Mine?
It's either mine or yours. I don't know which.
I got one pulled up if you want me to go.
Go for it. I mean, it's almost anyway, so it'll probably be the last one.
Well, it's a short one, but
At 10.
this one is in Swain County, North Carolina, from 1975. This one
It's
is
about your age.
is a year younger than me. This hikers find footprints in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Why does that sound so familiar, DA? A companion and I were backpacking in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park over a long weekend. For reasons forgotten, we left the trail to bushwhack for a few steps, dropped upstream into a creek to avoid an obstacle. My partner was a fast mover and was ahead, and I was moving slowly to avoid slipping in the shallow creek. When I observed a distinct downstream pointed bare footprint in a patch of silty sand just off the shore. There were primate-shaped footprints with 5 distinct toes and overall length of 12 to 14 inches by estimate. The bottom surrounding was flat rock. The water depth was shallow, maybe 2 to 3 inches, and the print depth was deep enough to be distinctly visible in the ambient light. I spent some more time examining the print to try to exclude other causes, knowing that the water flow over soft bottom can create patterns, as can multiple animals walking over the path. There was no established park camping spots within likely walking distance, nor any animal prints nearby. There was nothing in my outdoor experience to explain what I saw. We had hiked and camped numerous times in the park and were familiar with the behavior and prints of bears. So, and what strikes me about that is that's all the way back in 1975, but that sounds so in line with what you hear now. So 12 to 14 inches, 5 toes, distinctly human looking, but bigger.
Mm-hmm. And, they seemed to know what they were describing. So the odds of that being in case of mistaken identity, I would say pretty low.
Yeah. And there again, like we said, I've camped in these woods many, many times. I'm familiar with the wildlife in the area. I know what bear tracks look like. This wasn't that. There was no other campers around. Yeah, I like how they, we went through. We basically tried to debunk it before we said, okay, this is probably what it is.
Well, since it's coming up close to the top of the hour, I think I'll squeeze one more in.
Go for it.
I got one. This is a short one, not very long at all. But the reason I picked it is it's practically in Wyatt's backyard. This is a sighting from 2012, Class A sighting from December of 2012. Marion County, Arkansas. Said happened at 7:34 p.m. Marion County, Arkansas, near 62/412 highway, near Snow, Arkansas. The night was dark and clear. Road traffic was light. I was traveling westbound, headlights on bright. 3 creatures. 2 were adults and a young one. I saw them traveling from left to right. The adults were near the yellow line on the highway, and the smaller one was about 3 steps behind the large ones. The 2 large ones went right over the fence to my left with very little extra effort. like a large high stride. The smaller one used its right hand on top of the fence post and kind of just jumped the fence. I was about 5 car lengths away from the smaller one. So I literally saw a family of 3 cross the road right in front of them.
Yeah, we're basically next door neighbors.
Yeah, that's pretty close to you.
I've been to that little town called Snow. It's back in BFE.
I was wondering if you knew where that was at.
Yeah. You got to go up you come off, I think it is 62. You come off 62 and take a right. You go up this really steep road to get there, and then finally when you get to the top, Snow's up there on top of the hill.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that near it's a wildlife management area? No, not a wildlife management. It's a wilderness area, Lower Buffalo Wilderness area.
That's probably pretty close. I'm not real sure. I know where we go out to deer camp.
We used to camp down in that area years ago when the boys were little.
Right. The head of the buffalo is out there pretty close to where we go to deer camp at, actually, the Buffalo River.
We floated to Buffalo quite a few times.
Yeah. I don't have one popped up here, but I can tell you kind of what Richard had happen when he went to the Smoky Mountains.
Hell yeah!
I guess they went out there to go on vacation, to do all the stuff, touristy stuff, and just relax and stuff. But I guess one night, I forget how long it was before they left, but Richard said he got up in the middle of the night about 1 o'clock in the morning. He could hear something walking outside. He got up and walked outside. He said whatever it was, it ran off into the woods. It sounded really big. So it could have been a bear maybe, but the way he made it sound was it was running. So I guess the next morning he was talking. They had some neighbors just down from him. The neighbor asked him, "Did you hear anything last night?" And Richard was like, "Yeah." Apparently, they packed up and left today early compared to what they were going to leave because
they heard more than he did if they were willing to get the hell out of there.
Yeah,
more than they were willing to talk about.
Right.
Well, when Annette and I stayed in the Smoky Mountains just a couple of years ago, I went out there and did my tongue pop on the balcony of the cabin, and that night something slapped the side of our cabin and growled at Annette through the bathroom window, and she immediately thought it was a bear, but the bathroom window was about 12 feet off the ground.
Yeah, that's
went up there and found that perfect track. I wanted to cast it so bad, but it was on a 45-degree angle.
No, that was a good track.
I got great pictures of it. I mean, you can even see the definition of the heel and the toe. I put something in the image for scale, but there was no way to cast it, and that was kind of heartbreaking.
Yeah, when they're on those steep slopes like that, and plus you said it ended up raining all day too. So
it rained like hell. Not probably 20 minutes after I found that track, it was just a freaking deluge. Poured down the rest of the day.
Then you also found a fingerprint or something on your car too, didn't you?
I found prints on the car, and there were multiple prints on the car, and they were super greasy. Robbie saw them the next day. No, it was 2 days after.
After all that rain.
After it rained like crazy, Robbie saw them, and they were still like, you could touch them and just feel the grease on your fingers.
Right.
Hello, Harley. What's the matter, buddy? Neighbors are shooting fireworks, and Harley's freaking out.
We had some neighbors over here shooting fireworks off, or at least some were pretty close earlier.
Harley does not like fireworks, and I know my pop filter, my sound filter is filtering them out. But there was just a big boom outside. Harley's crawling under me. He's turning my chair because he's forcing his way under me. Harley, will you move and lay down, buddy? Lay down, puppy dog. It's okay, bud. All right, good boy. Now he's laying down. He's on my feet, but he's laying down.
It's about time for him to start gassing you out now.
Yeah, he'll guarantee with him being under me, you're going to see my hat go. Well, boys, it is coming up on the 10 o'clock mark. And I think we had despite our having a last minute cancellation from a guest. Wyatt, I really appreciate you punching in there and helping us out with this. But I think this was a good show.
No problem at all. I really appreciate you letting me come on.
Yep.
Anytime, you're welcome. And I really, really want to get down to Drury Mincy. Dude, I am so stoked about getting in there.
Heck yeah, I'm ready. I've been itching to go do something.
And
yeah, I can't wait.
Just to reiterate, for those of you who came in later and missed DA's announcement, what we're talking about, Saturday, Luca Jacobs will be on the show with us. Next Wednesday, Vic Cundiff. July 22nd, DA and I will be on Monsters Lounge with Tressa and Jenny. What else we got? And we're recording tomorrow
with Brett.
With Brett tomorrow. DA and I are.
We're going to be talking about the Pura rice map in Antarctica.
Yep.
I really like Brett. He's a good dude.
He's a good dude.
So, did I miss anything?
Books. When should we expect the next book?
Probably within maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, somewhere around in there. I mean, it's close. I'm closing in on starting the last big fight. Like I said, you got to do some I don't want to call it editing, but just proofreading, I guess, to make sure
and layout.
Yeah, layout. Make sure we're still on the right course. Make sure I don't need to do any course correction.
You want to know? Is that what you're doing? Sorry,
but I'm gonna say if things keep going the way they are, like I said, I won't be able to write any next week because I'll be at the academy most all week. I might get some writing done by next Friday and Saturday, but so hopefully 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks at the most. And yeah, and then you got Dead of Winter that's getting ready to
drop. Like Dead of Winter is done. All I'm waiting on is the final cover. Hopefully, I talked to my cover artist last night. Hopefully, he's got it done in the next couple of days. We had a big storm hit Springfield over the weekend, and it knocked power out for 37,000 people. And unfortunately, my cover artist was one of them. So he's been without power. I think he got it back earlier today. So fingers crossed. Hopefully, we'll have a cover concept and have the cover done very, very shortly. Because as soon as he gets it to me, I'm going to launch the book. So be looking for release information anytime this week for our Lakeview Man Dead of Winter. And for those of you who are interested in the current project is called Dark Frontiers, Devil of the Absarokas. It's set up in the Absaroka Mountains of Wyoming. I'm about 34,000 words into it. I hope to have it done in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully, with any luck, I'll have 2 releases this month. I'm gonna, as soon as Zach's done with this cover, I'm going to get him started working on the next one. Have you got your back cover blurb written yet?
Yep.
About, if y'all are interested, how about you read the back cover blurb for the new one, and I'll read the back cover blurb for.
What did let's see if I've got it.
Oh, boys, I'm jonesing for a book.
Well, I would have had one out weeks ago if it had been for all the snafu with the art. This is the back cover blurb for Lakeview Man Dead of Winter. Step into the shadowy depths of the Ozarks, where every whisper of wind and rustle in the forest conceals a chilling truth. What begins as a terrifying encounter with a clan of Bigfoot morphs into an unfathomable nightmare. as unseen figures manipulate the darkness and ancient forces rise to claim their prey. Deputy Connor Logue finds himself at the center of a sinister web that ensnares the Sloan County Sheriff's Department. As an omen of death looms over them all, secrets buried within those rugged hills and deep hollers come to light, challenging everything they thought they knew. The boundaries between ally and enemy blur, and survival becomes a fleeting hope. Will you dare to uncover the truth lurking in the shadows? Because in Sloan County, nothing is ever as it seems.
Yep, I'm ready. I'm ready to give you guys my money.
Hold on.
Me and Fry, take my money.
Yeah.
Robbie, you got yours ready? Or are you still hunting?
I'm getting pulled up now.
Well, I've already written the back cover blurb for the Devil of the Absarokas. If you guys want to hear that one, anyone want to hear that one?
We'll take whatever you can give us, DA.
Devil of the Absarokas. Deep in the wild heart of Wyoming's Absaroka Mountains, a hunting expedition becomes a nightmare beyond imagination. When two members of their party are brutally killed and others left clinging to life, veteran guide Patrick Akiba is forced to confront a horror he never believed could exist: an attack by a savage group of creatures resembling the legendary Bigfoot. With local authorities dismissing his story as fantasy, Patrick turns to the one person who might believe him: his old friend, Carrie Pocket Doc Davis. Together with Declan Kane and Jed Rains, Doc assembles a team to track down the deadly predators lurking on the mountain's shadowy reaches. But as the hunters become the hunted, a darker truth begins to emerge. These monsters are more than wild beasts. They're part of a secret government experiment, monitored by a sinister faction that will stop at nothing to keep its secrets buried. Trapped between the icy jaws of nature and the cold calculations of men, the team must decide, will they survive the hunt or become its next victims? An adrenaline-fueled tale of survival, betrayal, and the unknown, the Devil of the Absarokas will keep readers turning pages long into the night, where every sound in the darkness might just be your last. What do y'all think of that?
Very nice. Very nice.
It's nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Robbie, you ready?
I can't get it to pull up. I tried to get it to pull up, but apparently I know I've got it on my computer at work, but I thought I could get to it from my phone, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I was not prepared. Sorry.
Sorry, the dog keeps rooting under my arm.
But basically, it just says stuff's about to happen.
Gauging Dog says, DA, the VA called yesterday. They're talking about back surgery. Dude, good luck. Any surgery on the back sucks. So good luck.
Actually, you know what? I think I've got that out in the car, but I know you don't have time for me to walk all the way out to the car and get it.
Oh, it's no worries, man. We'll do it next time. Well, folks, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. I hope we were entertaining and you enjoyed yourselves. If you are not a member of the channel or you're not subscribed to the channel, please take a second and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe to the channel, and it sure helps us get deeper into the algorithm. We're trying to get to the 10,000 mark, and once we reach 10,000 subscribers, we're much deeper embedded into the YouTube algorithm. That means we're going to see a lot more responses. We're going to start showing up in more searches. It'll really help the channel continue to grow. So please, if you know anybody that likes this type of content or enjoys these kind of stories, please share it with them. Let them know that we go live every Wednesday and Saturday night, and we would love to have them here as part of the group. So make sure you guys are still subscribed, because YouTube has a funny way of unsubscribing people from sometimes. Don't know why, but it happens. So double check. If you think you're already subscribed, make sure you still are. Or if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, because we'd love to have you as part of the group. Don't forget to check out our affiliates. That'll check out good folks over at Dark Angel Medical. That's Doc's company. Best med kits in the business. Check out Dark Angel Medical for all your first aid and trauma needs. I don't go anywhere without one of their kits, and when we go in the field, we take multiple. Did you find it, Robbie?
I forgot I put it on Patreon.
Well, here, let me finish my spiel about Dark Angel, then you can jump in. Check out darkangelmedical.com, and don't forget to use discount code Cryptid20 for 20% off your entire order. Go ahead.
All right. When monster hunters Rick Becker and Sarah Dalton retreat to the Great Smoky Mountains for a well-earned vacation, they expect peaceful hikes and quiet nights. But when a gruesome attack shakes the nearby woods, massive feline tracks turn up near a tourist cabin, peace quickly gives way to something darker. As legends of the Wampas cat begin to blur with reality, Rick and Sarah are pulled into a chilling investigation that uncovers not just ancient Cherokee myths, but evidence of a secretive research facility hidden deep in the forest. With the trusted allies and a mysterious Cherokee elder, the team races to uncover the truth before more blood is spilled. Are these creatures a relic of folklore or something engineered and far more deadly? The forest holds its secrets tightly, but Rick and the team are about to tear them open, even if it costs them everything. Shadow Walkers Book 3 is a fast-paced supernatural thriller filled with rich folklore, tactical action, and edge-of-your-seat suspense.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
I
Can't
like
wait
it.
to have that one. I've really enjoyed reading it. Not proofreading, but alpha reading. I've really enjoyed, what do you call them, your wolf pack?
Wolfpack.
But I've really enjoyed the process. I mean, I've enjoyed watching your writing already starting to evolve. You're doing very well.
Well, I was talking to my buddy John today. John's a character in the second book, and I pulled up beside him, or he called me and said, "Hey, come back over here. I got to talk to you about something." 'Cause I passed him, and so I pulled back up. And he said, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you. I just finished the second book." I said, "Well, what'd you think?" He said, "Take me out of the equation. Pretend I'm not in it." He said, "The first book, I liked it." He said, "Number one, I know the area, so I felt like I was in it, and it was there." He said, "But I felt like there was so much more of a story that you could have told." He said, "It was great, but I felt like there was so much more of a story that you could have told. I felt like you just kind of like stayed in between the lanes, in between the ditches, and just stayed safe." He said, "But the second one," he said, "it was like," he said, 180 degrees difference in how you develop characters and did things. And you remember me talking to you about how I was excited about writing that big two-sided battle, one going on here, one going on there. He even talked about that. He's like, "Man, that was amazing to read, going back and forth between two big fights going on." I'm like, that was a challenge for me to write. So he said the same thing that you're just saying about the difference between book 1 and book 2, and you even said the difference between book 2 and book 3 is even showing.
I can see you're honing your craft, and as an author, that's all any of us can hope to do. I don't try to compare myself to other authors, and I certainly don't view other authors as competition. I'm all about promoting reading, because if somebody is enjoying reading, the more they read, the more they're going to want to read, and that's just good for all of us. So I'm all about supporting my fellow authors. In fact, I'm going to be starting a feature on my website and on my social media where I do an author profile every week. I'll profile an author that I love reading their stuff, and I'm a big fan of their work, or authors that have had an impact on my own writing. So be watching for that starting here real soon. I'm going to be doing an author profile, and I'm very proud of Robbie. Robbie's progressed in 3 books. He's progressed more than I did in my first 10. It took me a lot of foot slogging and hard lessons to hone my craft, and I'm still trying to hone my craft. And to me, that's the thing about being a writer, is you always strive to be better than you were the day before. So every book, I try to put my heart and soul into each book to make each book better than the last one. And I hope I succeed. I mean, I'm still in there swinging for the fences, and I hope that shows through in the writing, because I know it does in Robbie's. Robbie has really, really done a good job not only maturing as an author, but the character growth, his pacing is spot on, and it's improved with each book. And I see that, and I'm very happy for him, because those are the key things that any writer wants to improve on with each successive story. And Robbie is definitely doing that. He's doing a great job of it. So watch for those profiles. And while you're here on YouTube, when you subscribe to us, don't forget to run over to Boone County Cryptids. That's Wyatt and Richard Brush's channel. They've only got one big video out, but they got some shorts out. Go over there and give them some love. Give them a like, share, and subscribe, because I know we're going to see some good things come from those guys. Because not only is you're going to see Robert and Wyatt and Richard appear here as we talk about some of these expeditions, they're also going to talk about their own expeditions and their own sides of the stories on their own channel. So, their growth is going to be parallel to ours, because we are going to be sharing a lot of the same experiences and getting those different perspectives. Like how I see something is going to be totally different than how someone else saw it from another perspective. So how I describe stuff, while it might be intense, you're going to miss out on somebody else who, like, if I saw a creature run from left to right across an open area, and I got a good look at it, it might be, I was terrified. I saw this creature running across the clearing, but the poor bastard that was on the right-hand side, when it ran right past him, he's going to have a whole different perspective than I have. He's going to have a brown pants moment to describe, and that's what we're hoping to do. We're hoping to be able to bring you guys multiple contexts, multiple points of view, as well as some amazing stories. And Boone County is certainly going to be doing that. So look at them. They're going to be up and comers in the field, folks. So get in early and get in often. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let them know we sent you. Give some love to Wyatt. And another thing I want to say a big shout out to all our mods tonight. Moderators, you guys kick ass. Our mod squad is the best. They are fantastic. They keep the chat going good. They point out questions when we miss them, which we do. When we get 100 plus people in here, the chat gets to flying, and we don't always catch all the comments. And the mods do a really good job about keeping us focused and bringing stuff to our attention as they need to. So great job, everybody. Thank you guys so much for doing an awesome job. Don't forget to check out our other affiliates. Check out Scallywag Tactical, scallywagtactical.com, and use discount code DARoberts10 for 10% off of anything on their website. They've got everything from t-shirts. They've got some awesome t-shirts. They've got French press coffee mugs. Got one of those myself. Makes a damn fine cup of coffee. Not to mention they make some tremendously nice cutlery. So check them out. They got a whole bunch of new ones. And the thing about one of their newest blades, the Redondo, it has now become the official replacement for the K-bar. It is a combat knife that has been picked up by the Marine Corps. So we knew them back when. We knew Scallywag when they were still just Scallywag, but they are now supplying for the Marine Corps, which is huge for any tactical company. But check them out. And
Spear point though, rather than Tanto or Tanto.
I want the spear point. I like the Tanto's okay, but I want the spear point. So that's probably going to be my next knife acquisition from them.
That just
when I've got
looks
some money.
nasty to me though.
Yeah, that'll certainly do a number on you. Check out Kent Brock. Kent Brock makes custom blades. It's brockblades.com. He's another one of our affiliates. And check out our newest affiliate, sigwoarms.com. If you guys are fans of the Codename Wild Hunt books and you would like to get a custom AR or any other build, they are the guys to talk to if you want a Codename Wild Hunt signature AR, because they're the only ones that are licensed to do it. They do all kinds of custom stuff. If you want a whisper pickle for your pew pew, they're the guys to go. They do custom cans in all calibers. So go to sigwoarms.com, check them out, tell Cody we sent you, and maybe you can get your next custom build directly from Sigwo. Folks, again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We have a great time. We love hanging out with y'all. We love sharing these stories and talking about the expeditions that we're going on. We've shared the ones we've done in the past, but hopefully as we're starting to evolve this more and more, we're going to be able to capture more video, more audio, and more images to share with you all as we hit these places. And we've got a lot of them planning on coming up. A lot of places I want to go, a lot of places I want to get in and film. And I think we've got a lot of good material to be bringing you guys in the near future. So we're watching the channel as we continue to grow. Watch for some of the expeditions, and God knows, who knows, you might end up being part of one if it's in your area. So, folks, thanks for hanging out with us so much. I'd be remiss if I did not mention the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. Folks, don't let the hard days win. And at least 22 times a day they are. You don't have to fight these demons alone, folks. I've been there. I have been there, believe me. It's good to have a network of guys like Wyatt or Robbie or Doc, guys I know I can shoot a text to, like, hey, you got a minute to talk, and if they're awake, they're going to answer my text right away. And I've got a good network of people, and I'm here for them just as much as they're for me anytime. And I appreciate each and every one. Steve as well. Steve's the same way. Steve works like crazy hours though, so catching Steve's a little harder, but Steve is always there. He'll even answer me if he's at work. But if you don't have somebody to talk to, find one of us. Reach out to one of us, because we are here for you guys. We might be dysfunctional family, but we put the fun in dysfunctional. So, folks, again, don't let the hard days win. Reach out. Let your friends and family know who have served in uniform, be that as a first responder in any capacity, as a veteran in any capacity, or even active duty. Still, reach out. Let them know you think about them. Let them know you care, because 22 a day is 22 too many. So we're gonna wind this down with a toast, and it doesn't matter what you're drinking. It can be water or anything beyond. I don't have any Uskabetha tonight, which is, those of you who well know, Uskabetha is the old Gaelic word for whiskey, which translates as the water of life. But I'm drinking a little Guinness, a little touch of the Irish anyway. But we're going to end this with a toast, and it's an old Irish drinking song called "The Parting Glass," and it's sang at Irish pubs all over the world at the end of the day. But when you listen to the lyrics, it's more than it's just about saying goodbye at the end of the night when the bar closes. It's about saying goodbye to the ones we've lost along the way. And having seen that folded flag handed to too many widows, this one always gets to me, because I think about a lot of friends I've lost along the way. But the song says, "But since it fell into my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be to you all." Good night, everyone. Slàinte thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys on Saturday night. God bless.
Slàinte.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAExMachiNation. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.